The video games industry is easily one of the largest in the world, and in it is some of the greatest inventions, greatest advancements to mankind, I mean humankind, has ever delivered. Or is it people kind? I can't keep up. But for all the good that video games do, there's a sinister side on the back of many, many video games, not just mobile games where we tend to kind of look for microtransactions and things like that, but regular AAA video games as well. And recently a video surfaced that was actually uploaded 3 years ago detailing how to design your mobile games to turn your players essentially into video game addicts, to get them to continue to spend. All the tips and tricks mobile game developers, video game developers would need to turn you into a mindless pay piggy, a zombie with your wallet just feeding them. And I can't even believe they uploaded this video to YouTube. And even more hilariously, or sadly, I should say, I can't even believe the video has 300 upvotes. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this video.
A summary of a huge bunch of behavioral psychology. So the tricks on how to monetize a game well. Some of you will probably be slightly shocked by all the tricks I have listed here, but I'll leave the morality of it out of the talk. We can discuss it if we have time later.
Now, I know some other YouTubers have covered this and probably have covered it since 2016, but I figured it was important that I signal boost this as much as I can. And hopefully you watching it, if you're as appalled as I am, you'll remember to leave a like on this, drop a comment, and consider sharing it so more people that play video games are more aware of the type of thought, the type of conventions that go on behind the scenes. You'll notice that this convention is literally called, this presentation is literally called Let's Go Whaling. This is referring to the 20% of customers that spend 80% of the money. This is a common business rule. It applies to a lot of different things. But you'll also notice that he's referring to how they use your psychology against you, and even acknowledges that there are moral issues here. But I mean, we're making money, am I right?
And the very best way to get these guys to spend is to get two rich competitive guys to fight each other and tell them, I'll give you a slight upside if you pay me.
No, I realize that this video is probably going to be longer than most, but there is just so much in this presentation that is infuriating. We all know this is how video game developers think, but to hear it out loud, to hear, well, we make the most money if we get two rich idiots spending and we just tell you we'll give you a few little things. Yikes.
Next off, to remind you that the best way to make sure of both your retention and your monetization is to make sure you have enough of an in-game economy in there. The 1,000 up there is actually clearly lowballing it. Top grossing games have in-game economies worth tens of thousands. That's how you can keep people in there. They have lots of things to do, stuff to upgrade, to progress along, and that's how you can make them spend a lot as well, since you can, for instance, give a huge discount on something. This stuff is worth 150 euros, but now I'll give it to you for 5. If your whole in-game economy is worth less than 150, you cannot do that, of course.
Here he's talking about, and of course this video is dated, and he himself admits that this is lowballing it, that in order to be successful in your game, you've got to have an economy, as he puts it, worth many thousands, $10,000 or more of in-game, so you can fool your customers into thinking they're getting a good deal. Idiots.
Sell convenience to the achievers, which really means faster progress. Customization to socializers, hats and stuff. Competitive advantage, that is pay to win for the killers, and content for explorers.
And there you have it. The 4 user types broken down, or Bartle types broken down into basically the achievers, the socializers, the competitive players, as well as the explorers, and how these games will monetize you, whether it's through customizations for socializers, people that like to talk to other people in the game, whether it's maybe faster XP or something like that for the achievers, the completionists. And they specifically reference pay to win in the competitive players. Pretty gross.
Now, the reason I highlighted convenience up there or progress is that most of your sales will be here. Customization, hats and stuff, they're nice, but you'll have a single-digit percentage of your income coming from that, if you do both that and progress. Competitive advantage is good, but you can go overboard with it and have an unbalanced game, which is, if it's too clearly pay to win, people will stop playing. And content, it takes a lot of resources and time to do that. Selling content is very expensive. Hardly any team can keep up producing content at the pace needed.
Well, you wouldn't want anyone finding out that your game is pay to win, but it's interesting to hear a game developer, somebody speaking to other game developers, say basically that providing additional content for your players is just too expensive, and that you want to focus on specifically convenience type transactions.
This one I like a bit better. Hook Habit Hobby. This is a model from Dmitry Dravanov of Flare Games. It's a model for how people progress in a game. The hook is what gets you into the game to try out a free-to-play game. Then you build it into a habit that you play multiple sessions every day. And then at the end, it's the hobby phase where people see it as one of their main hobbies, and they put lots of time and resources into it.
And that's essentially how they turn you into an addict. They call it a hobby consumable, but the process is simple. Get you to try the game, then set the game up in a way that it becomes a habit. It's like the first rock is free for addicts. You know what I'm saying? So you get them in, you create a habit, and then you make them see it as a hobby. You know, Candy Crush is just something I do, to Candy Crush, I just play a little bit each day before bed. No big deal. And that's how they get you to justify spending money in the game. Now, I should be clear that free-to-play games, spending money on free-to-play games is not necessarily bad. I think that, I mean, they're not in a charitable position, but it's interesting to see all the information that's out there, the way that they market how your mind works. And the question is, how many developers are really being ethical about this? Probably not many.
The reason to give a really good deal up front is by making people spend up front, they are also emotionally committing to your game, their retention will go up. And the first spend is, it breaks the ice, then they think of themselves as spenders in the game. It's okay for me to spend in the game.
Now take what he just said and think about how many times you've installed a free-to-play game, even AAA games like Hearthstone or Magic Arena or things like that. And when you first sign up, you get this incredible deal that almost anyone would be a fool not to take. Now you know exactly why they're doing it.
And the hobby is for the guys who have already maxed out. They're the guys who have all of their Clash of Clans building at the max level. They are already there. So you can no longer sell progress to them, you have to sell consumables. This is where you're selling the faster healing times or faster build times of armies. This is also where you get basically unlimited upper spend. There's no limit to how much you can spend in, for instance, Clash of Clans.
So what they're saying here is once you've been playing the game enough, then they can really start to milk you. There's no limit to how much money that they can squeeze out of your wallet. Once it's a hobby of yours, you're willing to consistently put money into it. Just look at the trading card world, Magic the Gathering, for example. You buy packs, You see it as a hobby, so therefore you're consistently buying packs. People will continue to buy packs of Magic cards, even full well knowing that they're far better off buying singles because they see it as a hobby. Me, I've played Magic the Gathering since 1993 or 1994, so I understand how it gets to be that way.
So let's go down into some of these more tricks. Gotchas. Who hasn't heard of gotchas? Excellent.
I actually wasn't expecting this, but look, there's Magic cards right on the list.
Most of you have. So gotchas, they're named after gachapon, these Japanese machines, which are sort of slot machines that give you collectible stuff. On random, you get collectible stuff. But it's really the same mechanic that we have had in Western markets for collectible playing cards like Magic the Gathering for ages. You cannot, no matter how much you spend, you cannot directly get the card you want. You have to, over and over again, pay to get a bunch of random cards and hope that the thing you wanted is in there.
Now, this isn't necessarily true for example, Magic the Gathering cards, because you can buy the singles you want pretty much anywhere, your local game shop or, of course, online or whatever the case may be. And more ethical games will allow you to craft the cards you need. Both Magic Arena and games like Hearthstone will allow you to get the card you need without endlessly buying packs, at least in some way or another. It isn't easy, but it's possible, as opposed to going the route of, well, you just have to open packs endlessly until you get what you want. And that's actually how it used to be in probably the late 90s, early 2000s for Magic the Gathering, because in that scenario, there weren't many local game shops. There weren't many local card shops. We had one in our town, and there was really no buying cards online. So if you wanted a Shivan Dragon for your deck or something like that, you did have to chase it in packs. And I remember opening endless packs looking for a fork back in the day.
Then think about how you want to get to your millions. Do you go the king route of having a huge volume of players and a fairly modest lifetime value for each spender? Or do you go the machine zone route of having a very hardcore game that like 95% of the population is going to look like, what is that? But the 5% that actually do play it, they will spend a lot.
Now, this was just as a marketing professional, pretty interesting to me. Essentially, obviously, what they're talking about is the Candy Crush. They just cast a super wide net, and they might collect $2 to $3 off of each person. You might have a game full of 10 million players. Now, with Mobile Strike, they were obviously making the kind of money that could hire Arnold Schwarzenegger to do their commercials, but the game itself appealed to a much smaller group of people. They figured out that, hey, we're only going to target the type of hardcore players that are likely to put money into our game versus King, which is owned by Activision, where they're saying, hey, we want to make our game accessible to everybody, and we're fine just trickling a few pennies off a wider pool of people.
So that's the fast thinking. Our brain works in these two modes, and starting the analytical part of your brain is too much to ask for a spend. How it applies to games is make stuff immediately useful, immediate gratification. If you have a level-based game and you sell some boosters up front, for instance, a coin doubler or some other stuff that will help you, people will have to analyze and think it through. These things are good for me, these will help me progress before they do it. And they won't do that. If, on the other hand, you do like, for instance, in this temple run, once your game is over, save me, I have a few seconds to spend hard currency and I get to continue. Or similar in Candy Crush Saga, at the very moment that I've lost, I can see I just played a bit more, I can pass it.
Translation is, we don't want our players thinking because they won't spend money if they actually think about what they're going to do. So instead, let's set up the game. He literally comes out and says that if we provide even a value add up front, players won't buy it. But if we put it in where they have to make an emotional decision, then they'll be likely to spend money. It's interesting to think about as we continue to play more and more games out there to keep an eye out for.
In games, you can apply this by giving people stuff that is in their pocket, and then threaten to take it away unless they pay up. This is, lots of level-based games do this. There are collectibles in things like Puzzle and Dragons. You collect along the way. If you didn't finish the level, they'll take it from you.
Now in this presentation, he uses the example. If I flip a coin and it's heads, I'll give you $120. If it's tails, you give me $100. And how most people just wouldn't do that because the risk versus reward, or as the correct term here is loss aversion. So pretty freaky to hear it out loud, right? This is how you design the game. You give people stuff, right? You give them things and then you say, ha ha ha, just $3 or you can't have it. Pretty shocking stuff. And as I'm thinking about a lot of the things he's saying here, you see this in almost every mobile game. That's the crazy part about this. And I'm hoping if you're still here at this point that you've considered dropping a like or leaving a comment or sharing it, because people need to be on the lookout for this type of stuff in design. Because I feel like if you see these things, then you know that they were designing around profit and not around designing an actually good game.
Now, pay to continue a bit. Offers and scarcity plays into the loss aversion. If there are rare cards up here, and you see the goblin going with his clocks, tick-tock, I'll take it away from you, I'll take it away from you. They are scarce, they go away. This is a brilliant way to get more.
Brilliant, right? Appeal to the addictive personalities of a small group of people and monetize them for immense profit. Ooh, the goblin up here saying, I'm going to take it away from you if you don't give me your shekels. Brilliant, right?
There's a trigger to remind us to do something. Then we go do an action. We get the variable reward, just like the gachas. We get the lottery ticket. And then, to really hook it down, we need to ask people to do something for us, do a little bit of work, because then they become emotionally attached to that. And then we set up the next trigger, either internal or external. External trigger means really a notification in our case. Internal, that people have in their minds that, you know, I started building that tower, or I planted pumpkins. That means I need to come back in 8 hours. So that's the trigger. And then we go round and round, and we have the habit.
Now, I really hope you're still with me at this point in probably one of my longer videos, but yikes. This is essentially step-by-step how to addict your mobile player by getting them to build something, then to use the notification system on your phone to remind them to come back and do something else. He's using the IKEA effect to illustrate that. Essentially, that IKEA furniture is mostly low quality, cheap stuff, but people value it more because they built it themselves. That's exactly the same mentality they're using to get you to come back over and over and over and over again into their mobile game and become addicted.
Some games, immediately when you're in the tutorial, they suggest to you, you should buy this good IAP for 50 euros or something like that. I go like, oh, that's expensive, I'll never do that. Of course, no. And I expect them to say no. Then again, I come back like a few sessions later and suggest they buy it for 15. And I'll say, that's a good value, because my anchor was at 50.
Now, this is another great example of the mind games that mobile apps and really today free-to-play PC games are going to play with you. He's talking about anchoring, which is the concept. We use this in marketing all the time. It's the expectation you have of the value of any one thing. So they'll come and they'll purposely overcharge for an item. Sure, maybe a millionth of a percent of people will buy it, but the purpose isn't to sell it to you at that price. The purpose is to anchor you, to control the way you think, so that later when they come back and ask at the real price they wanted, you'll be more likely to buy. Pretty sinister stuff.
This means that you should have the socially accepted way of behaving in your game should be paying. you want to tell people, for instance, when a clan member of theirs spend IAP money, you want the whole clan to know, because then that becomes the socially acceptable way of behaving.
So in other words, you should control, again, the way that the player's perception is so that they feel guilt, that they feel shame if they haven't purchased something in your game. Now, this is where I've had enough of this presentation, and I'm sure you're feeling pretty gross too. But my hope is that this video will get out there and people really understand, will take the 20 minutes to really understand what to look for in games. And when you see it, to know exactly what they're up to. Because I guarantee some of you right now are typing in the comments like, oh yeah, I've seen this in this game or this in that game. And, you know, ultimately free-to-play games are not bad. They're not a bad thing. They're just very slippery. They're very prone to bad people taking advantage of them. And I think as more and more of these games in our market go free to play, as more and more games end up like Fortnite, where kids are literally getting made fun of for having the default skin, that's this thing actually at work. They're controlling your minds, which is crazy to me. They're putting stuff in the water. No. But it's important that you understand that while not all free to play is bad, here's a step-by-step instruction manual of how a lot of these developers, remember, this was a developer conference. This guy is speaking to other developers. So I hope that this video was enlightening to you. If it was, I hope that you've left a like on it. And I hope that you'll spread it around because people really need to see and be aware of these tactics that free-to-play developers are using to turn us into horrible addicts and milk us for money. Hope you were entertained and enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.